Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to introduce our Master Marketing Agility series. We've all had to pivot in 2020, and that still continues today, even as we work towards economic recovery. But the art of pivoting is a little different for each organization. So we brought a few marketing leaders who successfully remain agile while still driving business impact. At the end of 2020, we interviewed Stefan Survey, Senior Director of Marketing Operations at PointClickCare, on how his team is managing marketing with agility. Stefan is a marketing operations veteran with over 20 years of experience designing and implementing marketing operation frameworks. And without further ado, here's his take on ways to maximize marketing resources while still driving increased value. Let's get started with a get to know you question. Can you tell us how you really entered into this world of marketing?
Yes, so hi, Amy. Thanks for inviting me. It may sound a bit strange, but I knew I wanted to go into marketing in high school.
Yeah.
And my best friend's dad was in marketing, and I was seeing what he was doing, and I felt this is something that I would like to do. So I started actually in marketing and advertising in Europe, worked for a few large organizations in different countries in Europe, in Luxembourg and France and the UK, in the B2C side, and then evolved into B2B marketing over in the States. I worked also in video gaming, and for the last 14 years, I've been in B2B marketing for tech companies, and then now at PointClickCare for the last 2 years in marketing operations.
Wow, that's quite an interesting background. So agile marketing, as we know, this is really the theme of this entire series, and it's been around for a while, since 2012. And obviously it's way more imperative now with this fact that we've got the pandemic happening. And I know that Forrester sort of refers to two different types of agility. We're really going to be referring to the little a, which is about speed and responsiveness. So I guess in terms of PointClickCare, can you kind of share sort of what happened when the pandemic hit and how agility was, important?
Sure. I think first of all, agility is key in marketing. Like for many of us, the ability to pivot fast and being agile in changing your approach to stay relevant to our customer audiences is key. And now maybe even more, being in the position to customize or personalize and provide the most relevant messages to our customers is key. Now, to your question, what happened when the pandemic hit a few months ago? First of all, PointClickCare is in the senior care industry. So we are part of healthcare. Okay. And our customers have been heavily impacted by COVID from the beginning, from March on. So we may be in a slightly different position in terms of what we've done in marketing compared to other organizations who may not have customers in the senior care and healthcare industry. In our scenario, we decided to stop all non-relevant communication, and we pivoted over in a little a agile way to make sure that our communication and our messaging was relevant to the situation. We wanted to help our customers in this difficult situation by providing them, help in the immediate need, very personalized and very targeted to the current needs back then in March. But we're still doing this now. So the results we saw from that was that we doubled our web engagement in just a few days.
Were you actually in agile before the pandemic as well?
So the difference between the big A in agile methodologies and the little a in being agile or applying agile tactics, we've always been in the little a.
On the little a, okay.
We always felt that the big A was scaring people away.
Yeah.
It was difficult to do, so we applied a little a, applying agile tactics so that we can pivot fast. We always understood that we were a big startup. For those of you who don't know us, but the company's 20 years old. We still operate like a startup. We still grow 20% a year.
Wow,
and being agile in pivoting fast and doing the right thing based on what we're getting and what we're hearing has always helped us to grow.
Okay. So you mentioned at the beginning, obviously your customers were highly impacted. Did your content increase at that time as well? Many communications that you're putting out?
Yeah, so we of course had to change our content. It
Okay.
may have increased in volume because we kept putting out more relevant content as we went through this pandemic situation.
Hmm.
But it wasn't really the volume that was important. It was more that the relevance
Right.
is important. And for all of us in marketing, we all know that if our content is relevant, we attract more and we keep more customers.
Hmm.
We wanted to make sure that we keep our customers engaged, even if they didn't have a strong appetite to buy.
Right.
They had a very strong appetite to learn, and they sought out for help.
Oh, that's amazing. So, what would you say would be the risk of not moving swiftly?
I think you would miss out, right? I think our world is changing fast. Our industries are changing fast. The companies are changing fast. Um, if you if you can't be agile, or if you can't pivot fast, I just feel we're going to be losing out and we're going to be falling behind. Others will overtake us.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I guess when this whole thing happened, did you look at evaluating your MarTech stack? And did you make any changes?
We didn't make any changes because we just went through a more tech stack optimization a year before,
Hmm.
and we were in the middle of implementing other pieces in the spring. So we didn't make any changes. We used certain areas of our MarTech stack maybe a little bit differently,
Okay.
but we didn't add anything or we didn't get rid of anything immediately.
And were there any other sort of strategies that were happening at that time that made an impact to your business?
So on a business perspective, we like many other businesses too, we reacted and we said this is the time to change.
Hmm.
And we have to adapt to possibly a situation that is going to continue to be the way it is for a longer period of time. So we went ahead with a full digital transformation throughout the organization, like
Okay.
I've heard by now many organizations have been doing. We also went through a number of different strategy transformations that would position us in a better way should the situation stay like it is now for longer.
Okay.
We also want to make sure that we have a more sustainable model, which is more of a self-serve model or more of a digital engagement model,
Hmm.
to make sure that we stay relevant and we stay on top of it for whatever comes in the future.
So it sounds like you kind of transform your customer experience as well
We
with that.
Yeah, we transform the customer experience because we're talking a lot more now about immediate topics that are in need during this pandemic situation. As an example, we had a new product that we were supposed to launch in the summer.
Okay.
Now that the pandemic hit in March, we quickly discussed on the product team if we could get this product out faster.
Hmm.
We were able to accelerate it and get it out beginning of April. It was, of course, a very relevant product for this current situation. It was a product for infection control. So
Okay.
basically something that everybody needed. We released it for free because we realized our customers may not have an appetite to buy since they were spending more money on PPE, they were spending more money on hiring more people to
Hmm.
cover the pandemic. So they probably didn't have any money left to buy anything from us. So we provided that for free to help them, and eventually, now that they've been using it for a while, if they see interest in continuing to use it, they'll be able to pay for it.
Okay. So you're monetizing it now. That's amazing. How do you feel that Allocadia helped at all during the pandemic? And how do you see it as a foundational platform for your business?
So Allocadia, first of all, we've been using Allocadia for 2 years now.
Okay.
We're using it for budget planning like everybody else, but we
Mhm.
also have finance integrated into
Right.
Allocadia. And we've been running a pretty tight budget last fiscal year, which is
Hmm.
great. Um, During the pandemic, of course, everybody was asked, what do we need to cancel? What is canceled already? Like we had lots of events, live
Hmm.
events that we had to postpone or cancel. And finance asked us, what is actually the amount that we could save?
Okay.
So we were capable to go into Allocadia, look in the forecasting applications, and I introduced a few more tags, like the ones we use for commit or so I put in 3 more tags for cancel or delay so that our team members could go in and flag those areas where we could save money or where we had to cancel.
Right.
Within a few days, we had it all bubbled up on a dashboard and into a report, and we gave that to finance and told them here's what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
But we were again in a situation where we had agility to do this, within a few days, like 3 or 4 days.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow.
And we have about 40 people in Allocadia,
40 people use.
40 people planning in Allocadia.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. So I guess in terms of, again, switching sort of to more of an agile process or in terms of working, can you give us an example of just maybe like how that's impacted sort of your planning going forward? Like how do you guys actually plan things out now?
So we kind of changed a little bit the way we plan. We were in a very functional setting last fiscal year, where we
Okay.
had, let's say, marketing communications, marketing operations, demand marketing, very typical functions. And we felt that since we just talked about the transformational strategies we are going through, we felt that eventually, if we would budget that way, we would have a faster or better way to prove an ROI.
Okay.
So we changed the framework in Allocadia to reflect strategic alignment,
Mm-hmm.
go-to-market alignment, so that we already have it in certain categories or buckets. We centralize resources and budgeting to those strategic areas or go-to-market strategies directly. And instead of having one person, let's say, managing a functional budget, we now have a group of people managing a strategic or transformational budget.
That's amazing. So what are some of the benefits you've realized so far from doing that?
I think so. It drives better alignment.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it's still very early since we've only implemented it a few weeks ago. But
Okay.
the reason why we wanted to go this way is because it should drive more alignment to strategic initiatives. It doesn't put the function first. It puts the
Mm-hmm.
strategy first.
The strategy
Right.
first.
And for everybody who has like an accountability to provide to that strategy, becomes clearer on which teams you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's breaking out of functional silos and getting into more collaborative work groups.
And how did you encourage people to move to this approach? Obviously, it's a little bit harder. People are disparate. Your team would be working from home. So how did you sort of encourage everyone to sort of get on the same page with this approach?
So we all agreed. I mean, from last year already, we were experiencing quite some heavy silos,
Okay.
and nobody liked it. Right? I mean, even our team members, we kind of felt, we are in those silos and it doesn't really work. So we were kind of eager to get out of it, and we followed a methodology that separates the function where it's a home that we belong to, like marketing communications or marketing operations, and the workplaces we have to collaborate on. So we
Okay.
still all report into a function from a development perspective, from a performance perspective, but then we collaborate together on strategies
Mm-hmm.
that have objectives. So the objectives have now moved from functional objectives to strategic objectives, and we are getting together in work groups where we have common and shared accountability to achieve these objectives on those strategies. Now,
Okay.
it sounds very logic, and we've kept talking about it and communicating about it for a while, over 6 months now.
Mm.
And I think if it may also be kind of an agile way to go step by step, but repeat it in cycles and go forward. You make one more step, you repeat the cycle, you go one more step. It helps a lot of people to hopefully understand and tag along.
Okay. Are there any learnings you can share, I guess, from that process? Like any gotchas or anything that?
It's a bit early, I
Yeah.
would say, but it's like the typical things that you would see when you go through change, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is for some people it is easier than others.
Yeah.
We realize that this current situation we're in, we've all been working from home for 8 months or
Mm-hmm.
more. It may be more difficult in this situation because we don't have the socialization that we usually have,
Makes sense.
and we're more isolated. So the anxiety level for some people may be higher. There may also be some signs of being overworked because we tend to work more from home than we tend to
Mm-hmm.
work in the office.
Yeah.
So, but we'll have to see how that plays out really in the coming weeks and months.
Okay. So what are some of the opportunities that you see going forward?
So staying on the topic of agility, I think it is very important. It has been important and will be important in the future. But it's also, if I would put agility into concept with scalability.
Mm-hmm.
Many organizations, we're all growing, but we have to have a process to be scalable. So I feel if you are agile, you have a better chance at being scalable and making sure that what you're implementing is going to be scalable for the future and sustainable over time.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And how, I guess, in other areas, how has really marketing changed for you in 2020?
I mean, I'm not sure if it's just for us at PointClickCare, but I feel everybody is going the digital way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're all talking about on the event side, what is going to be possible live and what is going to be possible being online. What are we going to do in a hybrid format? I mean, we have a big discussion going on between, we used to do a lot of events and we used to do a lot of customer facing events,
Mm-hmm.
summits, which currently are not possible.
Right.
So we're talking about hybrid, like what is a better customer experience?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a hybrid experience where we offer some people who may be in areas in the world where we can travel, they can go to a physical event, and we would provide a physical live interaction. For those who can't, who are maybe in a region or in a different part of the world where we can't travel, we can stay online and we can have the same experience in the hybrid environment.
Okay.
So that's a big topic. Another big topic also is being digital and providing a better customer experience by not being face to face. Like even
Mm-hmm.
for sales, right? Sales is not selling face to face and is selling on the phone, is selling online.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we eventually can move to e-commerce, where we could probably offer our services immediately as a self-service e-commerce style.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of elements that are prompting towards automation, scalability of strategies, digitization. Um, of course, we want to keep kind of a human interaction alive, possible when we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
But we may be in a situation where we can't. So we have to be as operational and as making sure that we have the best customer experience, even
Mm-hmm.
though we are in situations that are maybe not ideal for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm hearing that more and more, that kind of doubling down on the personalization. I just listened to a Forrester talk that kind of went through the future of what's happening and from a technology perspective and how we service customers. Absolutely. Same, in the same direction as you. All right. So I guess in terms of the next 3 to 6 months, sort of the immediate future, obviously we still have this uncertainty happening in the world here. What do you sort of see? What do you feel? What do you feel is going to be your focus at PointClickCare?
So, like I mentioned before, we're going through these transformational strategies. We of course have a clear path for
Mm-hmm.
not just the next 6 months, but the next 3 to 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we don't know what it's going to look like. Like we have best case scenario and worst case scenario.
Okay.
And depending on how things are going, the economy can go either way. The pandemic can go either way. Currently, it doesn't look that good. It looks like it's getting worse everywhere in
Yeah.
the world. So
Absolutely.
we are operating with multiple scenarios: worst case scenario, best case scenario, and then again, agility comes into play. Where when do we pivot out of the worst case scenario to a better case scenario? When do we start to ramp up? Like in the worst case scenario, we may be spending less. We may be still relevant to our audiences, but we may do it in such a way that is not too pushy.
Okay.
Like once we're opening up again, we can become a bit more aggressive. We can become a bit more prescriptive,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll spend more. But when are we going to do that? And if we have to do that, it'll have to happen fast.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So again, being agile in moving in this scenario where everything is changeable and everything can change in a matter of weeks.
Okay.
We've got to have different scenarios that we can play in.
So you use these scenarios. Are there any other decision points that's you're looking at, like when you decide which direction you're going to go in?
Um, Currently, I'm not sure if we have those decision points. I mean, we're probably going. I mean, we will trigger our path forward
Yeah.
with respect to what we're seeing in the industry, with respect to what we're seeing in our customer world.
Hmm.
And again, it may be a bit different for us because we're in healthcare and senior care,
Right.
where our usually our buyers and our customers may not be in a position to even talk to us
Hmm.
if they are too busy handling the pandemic.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. So I guess if you were going to leave everybody with some parting advice to be able to run marketing better and obviously with greater agility, which is key here, what would you say?
I would say try your best at setting up your team so that they can be flexible.
Hmm.
Like what we've tried to do, getting out of silos and getting into collaborative work groups, hopefully will work for us. It's worked for others in the past too. But it is giving us this ability to pivot fast and to potentially play out different scenarios if we have to.
Okay.
um, and it's also like in marketing we're always changing, right? If
Hmm.
our structure or our setup is too rigid, it takes us a long time, and it's hard to break out of it. Now that we know that eventually we will have to move and pivot fast ever so often,
Hmm.
having a lighter structure and having a whole team that is already s- structured in such a way that they can shift right or left or up and down when we need to
Yeah.
will enable us to move faster and eventually win over the others.
Okay. Are you seeing, actually, just curious, are you seeing any other changes in other areas of your business just based on the way that if this agile approach you have in marketing? Like, are there
So
other teams picking it up?
we have a corporate culture that is very much driven around performance
Okay.
and accountability.
Hmm.
Um, and that corporate culture is going through all teams and all departments in the organization. Some, I would say, some have more of an appetite for being agile than others. It may also be because of the nature of different departments.
Hmm.
If you are, I work a lot with finance because
Yeah.
I'm in marketing operation, budgeting, but finance has a lot of rules and laws and guidelines that they operate in a certain way, and they're very stable.
Hmm.
Marketing and sales, we can be very flexible. We have to be flexible to the situation and to our customers, to our needs, to our audiences, to our personas, right? We have different ways of approaching everybody depending on who we are and who we're talking to and what we're talking about. So being agile and flexible is for a marketing organization even more important than any other department in the company, I would say.
Okay.
For many organizations where marketing is leading the
Hmm.
path forward, or for some organizations where marketing is the engine of growth,
Hmm.
that flexibility needs to be there so that the whole company can follow that. Right?
Absolutely.
But again, different departments will have different needs
Hmm.
to that aspect.
And different ways of working. Yeah. I have seen it though elsewhere where marketing kind of, as a catalyst starts it, and then other areas of the business will pick up on that as well. So,
Yeah, well, different areas in marketing also, we build the brand, we build the way we are talking about the brand, and then basically every employee in the company is a brand ambassador and is a marketer by himself
mhm.
or herself when talking about the company to other people.
All right. Well, just one final question before we wrap up here. I see it just came in here. Can you describe, is there any measurable impact from moving to an agile methodology or way of working, I should say, being fast?
Yeah, I think we can. There's a lot. I mean, in today's world, we can measure everything, and if we are in marketing operations, we know
Mhm.
what we can and what we can't measure. But as an example, what we did when we pivoted to more relevant messaging on our website, so that in the period of the pandemic in March, April, we were only focusing on relevant content. Within a few days, we measured web traffic, engagement on the web, form fillouts, content usage. We knew exactly what content was more appealing than others, right? So when we pivot and we can measure, within a few days, a week or two, we can see a difference. I mean, we saw a difference of doubling our web traffic within 2 weeks.
That's incredible. Wow.
Um, I mean, yeah, I would say it's unfortunate it had to happen in such a situation,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
I would say if we are measuring the right key metrics, we will see the impact of agility and pivoting, changing within a 2 week window.
Oh, that's yeah, that was yeah, it's really really great to hear that. And in terms of, I guess, just in some testing and learning, like you were talking about content, were you actually also testing out certain content and then swapping it out if it didn't work, or do you find like agility sort of allows you to do more testing?
So we're getting into that. We haven't done enough of that, but we're getting into these test cycles where we want to look at, like, we may even build out 2 or 3 different versions of a campaign or a landing page, or just to test what works better. Where do we get a better conversion ratio?
Yeah.
But we're also getting into a rhythm where we are measuring campaigns now really from front to end with a set of metrics. And we want to look at those metrics on a maybe daily basis at the beginning of a campaign, so that we can react fast when we see early indicators of success. Or if we see early indicators of not so great success or failures, we can change quickly. We can pivot maybe with different content, or we can change the campaign as we move forward.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we're going to wrap up because we're getting close to the end here. But yeah, I appreciate all your insights. That was extremely interesting to hear. So if you have any questions that we weren't able to get to today, please feel free to reach out to us, and you can connect with us at marketing@allocadia.com, and we'll get back to you in a timely fashion. And I want to wish everyone a very wonderful and safe day. Take care.